I believe it goes with what is written in Ephesians 4:11, to train, equip the saints to do the work of the ministry, and that's our whole goal, is to equip the saints to do the work of the ministry. So, therefore, we chose this route. Well, it raises expectations. People know that if they are equipped and trained to do the work of the ministry, their comfort level is much higher. Their confidence is higher. They feel more equipped to do the job that they're called to do. Now, that doesn't always mean that they're going to stay in-house. So we're equipping them to do the work of the ministry. Some of them are in the fivefold, and so therefore they may go start another church or launch out into another ministry. Some stay and work in-house, but nonetheless, they're all doing the work of the ministry. If they do it in the workplace, they're still doing the work of the ministry. So it trains and equips people to do that. That's our goal. Everyone in-house knows that Impact School of Ministry is here. We encourage people to take courses. We give them every opportunity. We also have a scholarship program. We've been blessed with someone who set up a fund through a gift that was given, and we're able to scholarship all of our staff. All of our staff gets free classes, and so therefore we're training and equipping our student ministries pastor, our children's pastor, our music pastor, our associates, everyone that has a desire. My wife has her doctorate and through CLST, and so does my son. He has two, and I have mine, and just about everybody in-house has either achieved their doctorate or they're well on their way. Well, we do that either by monthly or at least bi-monthly meetings where we meet. We also have an executive staff, which is myself, the associate pastor, the administrator, and our dean of students. We're the executive, and then we have an advisory board, which is comprised not of just people in-house. We have several other pastors from other churches that are on that board. So we try to make it a regional thing. And this Sunday night, one of our local pastors who enrolled in our school is getting his second doctorate through our school, and he will be receiving that Sunday night at our graduation. Yes, Dr. Mike Robinson, who accepted the call to preach. He was working in a secular job, and his father-in-law was the pastor of the church that he was attending. He was an elder. His father-in-law passed away of a massive heart attack, and Mike stepped in. Mike felt totally inadequate because he didn't have any theological training whatsoever. So basically, he was scrambling, using other people's materials and everything to preach, and just growing increasingly more frustrated. And John reached out to him and invited him to come and to view one of our classes, to audit it, and he did, and he was all in. And ever since then, he's gone all the way, got his first doctorate last year. This year he's receiving his second doctorate, and he absolutely loves it. He will take what he learns in class and preach it on Sunday morning. And he just eaten up with it, man. He just loves it so much, and is trying his best to get it started in his church. And his church is, I would call it more in the traditional vein, than most of the churches that are part of CLST and this kind of thing. But we have churches all over this county that have pastors that have gone through CLST and gotten their doctorates through CLST. I can think off the top of my head of when we had our first invocation here. Our commencement speaker had received his doctorate here, and he pastors a church in town, that one that he had started after he received his doctorate. So it's a good epidemic. And you know, when my own experience, when I first I joined, became part of a fellowship, and Dr. Cottle had just, the founder of CLST, had just gone to this fellowship and presented the school at the fellowship. And I was coming into a church, I was taking over from another pastor, and he had just come back from it, and he was eating up with it, man. He was so excited about it. He told me about it, and just the catchphrase that they used in the school at that time, anointed learning where you are. I had been part of a fellowship for 22 years. They would never ordain me, though I had pastored, I had served on different boards and been a leader, sectional leader, and worked in the district and all of that. They would never ordain me because I did not have a degree. So I was so excited to think, you know, it's so difficult to pastor and to go to school at the same time and be effective in both areas. And I was so excited to know that you could do it where you are. You wouldn't have to leave, you wouldn't have to go and pay the high tuition and everything else. I had a family to take care of and all of this. And so was just tremendously excited about it. And so I signed up for my first class, which happened to be training for rating. And man, I was hooked. Could not wait for the next course. And it seemed like every course that I took, man, that was the best course yet. And the next thing you know, I had finished. So I continued to go even after I finished, you know. And I should probably go ahead and get my second doctorate. You know, I'm pretty close, I'm sure. Just, but I was just so excited about it, and still am, and so I'm a believer. That's why we have it here. Just from my own personal experience, and I know how it enriched my life and how much it affected my ministry. I tell people all the time, before I started taking classes in our school, I was pretty much a parrot. I would hear other people preach, oh, that's good stuff, I'll preach that. You know, that's good stuff, I'll preach that, you know. And well, I never told anybody, I never gave credit where credit was due, you know, because I wanted them to think I was that smart. I wasn't. But once I signed on to these classes and started taking them, it built so much in me, put a reserve in me, so I wasn't scrambling to get material to preach. I was a well that it springs from. The revelation. And what I learned about, you know, it wasn't just the intake of knowledge, it was the Rhema word, the revelation that was being caught. And I was so excited to share that. And it changes our whole congregation. You know, one thing I'm excited about now, and I know that it stems from our school. It's like everybody in our congregation is feverishly digging into the Word. We had someone who made a challenge to read through the Bible in a year. We have 40-some people that signed on to that challenge. And several of those are students. And so it changes the whole culture of your church. You know, it's not that you're smarter, you have more knowledge, of course. But if you don't have knowledge, you can't have wisdom. Because wisdom is the ability to use God-given knowledge. So you put the two together and it changes everything. And we're just so excited about it. Passion. If you're not excited about it, they won't be excited about it. I would encourage pastors, if you want to start a school, don't push it off on someone else. You get involved. That's why I'm the chancellor of our school, and that's the way that it is set up. You have to be, the pastor is the chancellor of the school, or the set man of the church is the chancellor of the school. Because if he doesn't have a passion for it, it's not going to fly. It just won't. And you got to care about it enough to finance it. You know, if you don't have any skin in the game, it's valueless. You know, so we have financed all of our leaders, every leader in our church, as far as those that are in the pastoral or the service leadership, not just pastoral. We have some on our music team, on our worship team, that have access to take classes whenever they want. You know, we encourage them to do that, because as they're getting stronger in the Word, their ability to lead from the pulpit or from the platform is that much stronger. They understand, you know, the importance. They understand the value. They understand what is being spoken. It's revelation. It's not just, you know, pithy, pretty sounding words. It's reality. We give them opportunity, and it's also a barometer. If you have someone and they don't have enough drive, they don't have enough passion and energy to pursue knowledge of the Word, that tells you something. Do I really want to invest in this person? You know, do I want to keep them in that place? Because it's an important place. If it's important enough for you to make investment in, it's important enough to expect return. Well, Ephesians 4:11, 12, and 13, you know, it's bringing them to that place of maturity. When you got mature leadership, and I'm not talking about old leadership, white-headed. I'm talking about people who are mature in the Word, who have drank the milk of the Word, but now they are devouring the meat of the Word, and it's changing. Everything's changing the culture around them. And they're no longer asking a question of moral questions. Is it okay to do? They know. You know, what about demons? They know. What about, you know, eschatology? They know, because they've been trained. And now it's like Paul says, train leaders who will in turn train leaders. So you're creating an incubator for leadership. And it once it's established, once you've got the foundation, everything's got to have a solid foundation. Once you've got the foundation laid, then you can build on it. And that's what we have.